You're tuned into Balanced Life. Your Balanced Life podcast with Dr. Chris Byles, a space for people who want more energy, better recovery, calmer days, and long-term help without the hype or confusion.
Here, we talk about nutrition, fitness, stress, habits, hormones, and everyday wellness in a way that feels practical, supportive, and real-life focused. Because supplements aren't the goal, your lifestyle, your strength, and your well-being are. This is about intentional health and a life lived in balance. Welcome to a balanced life. Welcome to a balanced life.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. What's up? Welcome back to a Balanced Life podcast. Friends, welcome back. So if this is your first time here, welcome for the first time. You are talking to Dr. Chris Byles. Yes, I have my doctorate in education. So it's in kinesiology as well. So I study the body. I look at the body. I've been personal training for a long period of time. So I have witnessed and experienced so much during this time period that I've been on this earth, with fitness to coaching. I used to have a background in coaching. I was a track and field coach for over 10 years. Getting people to their best potential, right? And there's so many different things to help somebody get there, right? And sometimes what we get lost, which I'm gonna preface this by saying that I actually have a problem with the fitness industry from time to time, right? I think we've given people a false sense of hope sometimes. The truth of the matter is, when you're going to change any type of change, there is no quick fix for anything. It's consistent work. And I know that there's many things out there that may entice you to go the easy route, right? Whether it be whatever. Right? There's so many things out there, and it's not my place to talk about them. But if you're going to go a medical route or a route that involves some type of substance, you want to be careful, and you want to be able to still be able to treat your body as right as possible, even by the things you're doing to your body. I'll just leave it at that. So we're trying to be able to live the long haul, right? I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 years old this year. We're trying to go the long haul in life. Right? This is what we want. And so I'm going to be diving into a lot of different topics. Nutrition being today's topic. This is number one today. And I want to talk about some different things and give you some different ways to think about some things to make you think when you're going longer or further in your pursuit of long-term health, like to be healthy for long periods of time, right? You see some older people out there in their 70s and 80s. I actually had a few clients that was in their mid-60s. They're doing things that we didn't think we could do, right? They're getting stronger. They're putting on muscle. They're competing in powerlifting competitions with deadlifting and things like that. These are grandmothers doing this. And so I applaud that. And so we want to get to that level of fitness. And my goal with this is that we stay there, right? Now we don't just go through it, we stay there. Okay. So today we're going to talk about nutrition, and we want to talk about this in a way that is not going to overwhelm us, right? Nutrition, oh my goodness, nutrition can be so confusing, and it doesn't have to be that way. So I want to take confusion out of the equation. I want to try and give you this as plain as possible. All right. Because look, if you're around my age, a little bit older, or you know how it goes, you know how things have changed over the years, right? 1 minute carbs are bad. Next week, carbs are healing you, right? One moment, someone says the supplements are unnecessary. Someone says at the next moment they're not necessary, blah, blah, blah. Right? And now, with all that being said, what happens? We get tired. We get confused. It's like, well, skip it. It's a done deal. I can't think of this. I can't remember this. Give me something so I can go ahead and make this disappear as fast as possible. But unfortunately, again, not everything does the body good, right? And so the best way to try and do things, if you're able to, some people unfortunately are not able to, but if you're able to, you want to try and be as focused on the process more than anything, because again, you didn't get there overnight. And so removing weight is not going to be an overnight thing, or getting healthy, so to speak, it's not going to be an overnight thing. All right. Now, but before I continue, let me preface this by telling you that this information is for education purpose only. Nowhere does this intend to be medical advice. So we're not trying to give any medical advice here. All right. Educational purposes only. I will tell you what I do. I'll tell you about what some research talks about, and we'll just, dive into this a little bit and try and make things a little more easy for ourselves. Okay. So we're trying to take out the complication out of this whole thing, right? Nutrition, health, wellness. Let's take the confusion out of it, right? Why does it have to be so complicated? Okay. Now here's something that really needs to be said out loud. Okay. Most people are not unhealthy because they do not care, right? They're healthy because they are busy, stressed, and stretched thin. We can all agree upon that, right? I've worked multiple jobs before in my lifetime. If you listen to this, you're probably on your way to work right now, right? So we want to not make it so complicated. That's the bottom line. If you're working a lot of jobs and you have kids and you have a lot of responsibilities, I get it. It's going to be easy to just say, I don't want to do this today. I don't need this today. But your body does need it. Your body does need to exercise. It does need to take care of you. You need to take care of your heart. You need to take care of your lungs. You need to take care of your muscles. Because even though I talked about the older ladies that I've trained with who had they had osteoporosis, right? They have osteoporosis. And so the way that we want to not get there or not be in that position is to not have osteoporosis to begin with. We want to prevent these things. Everything should be preventative with us, right? Not reactive. So you have to find time. We have to carve out some time so we can go ahead and do the things we need to do, as well as take care of our bodies, right? Both should be prioritized, right? We go to the grocery store, there's certain things we buy, there's certain things we do. We go out to eat. We all make decisions that sometimes may not be helpful for our bodies, right? 100%. We do a lot of sitting. Our nutrition is terrible. We're not getting enough fiber in our diets, right? We're not getting enough protein. Carbohydrates is winning the game with that, if you look at the averages. So what do we do when you need certain nutrition and it's just too much to care about because it's so confusing, because you're so busy and you're stretched thin? I get it, right? I get it. Times it's like, oh, I definitely don't want to do this, but you got to make the priority. I look at this nutrition, health, and wellness. I look at it like the whole analogy of going on a plane. And they say, in case of an emergency, when oxygen masks come down, take care of yourself first before you help anybody else or somebody smaller put their mask on. And I'm not quoting it correctly, but you know what I'm talking about. This things that we do here, this focusing on nutrition, that's that putting the oxygen mask on yourself first, right? Spending an hour or so working out, which is only 4% of the entire day, whether you get it in before you go to work or after. And this is a different topic for another time, but if I had a choice, I would say let's get it done out the way in the morning, right? But again, that's another topic, right? We're trying to make it not so confusing. I know, I get it, right? So we have to focus on some things. Nutrition being number one. That's why we're doing this first. Nutrition is number one. If your nutrition is out of whack, then it doesn't matter how many workouts you do. It doesn't matter any of that if you're not getting the proper nutrition. You can read stories about the Bulls, how when they changed their nutrition, their poor performance. They understood about the connection between nutrition and performance, right? And even though many of us are not athletes, we still have to think like an athlete would think about how we're going to take care of our bodies to get through what we need to get through to the next stage in life, right, with older age. So nutrition's got to be number one, right? So right now, what I would say, before you do anything, before you think about anything, take out all the stuff that you've learned before and throw it out the window, right? Listen to what I'm saying. See what you can digest, right? And if you're already doing some stuff, you can apply some things here and there. Maybe you're not. Maybe I'm just giving you a certain thing to think about some stuff. But we want to talk about nutrition first. And one of the first things I would do and where I would go, right? So we can not make it so complicated. Okay? So there's that. So we have to understand, we have to have an understanding with our food that we have to have a relationship with the food, right? So we have macros for a reason. If you ever heard macros, you've got the proteins, you got the fats, you got the carbohydrates, right? And so let's think about it like this. When you look at those three macronutrients, I want you to think about three things only, right? You got the fats, you got the proteins, you got the carbohydrates. Boom. Instead of working about how many calories per gram, this, that, and the third, right? Instead of making it too complicated, what I would say is think about them in this manner. You have your carbs, which is the main source that everybody likes, right? Those are the fun things, right? And this carbs, unfortunately, have a big umbrella, and fiber and vegetables and those type of things are all part of that. So just think about fiber. No, I'm sorry. Carbs as fuel. That's it. Just like you wouldn't drive a car without gas, why would you move your body around without gas, right? We talk about in general, okay? So why put your body through that? You go through workouts, it's hard to get through, right? You're not getting enough carbs, right? If you're noticing that as you're eating your macro, your calories for the day, if you're thinking about calories, if you're eating those for the day and you notice that you are still tired, you're still run down, you're probably not eating enough the carbs, right? That's going to be some indicators, right? Carbs is fuel. That's it. Boom. Right? We talk about the different kinds of fuel in a second, but basically carbs are fuel. Fat is your metabolic function, right? You need healthy fats for your heart, your brain, right? For those things to function properly in our older age, especially our heart and our brain, right? There are some studies that have shown out that a lot of times if you can help Alzheimer's patients if you increase their fat in their diet, right? So those things I mentioned. So fat is metabolic function, and then protein is muscle. So that's the one we're going to focus on today: muscle, protein. Protein is muscle. It helps build muscles. It helps great too because it helps burn body fat. So if you're eating a nice protein, high in protein meal, and you've got the right amount of protein there, how many grams of protein for that meal, and maybe some vegetables, what have you, it's going to keep you full a lot longer. So you won't have a need to eat, so it satiates you, right? Protein is great, right? But you still want to have a balance. So what I would say, right, is just have protein the priority. That's just my goal. That's just me. And we can talk about numbers in a minute, what that looks like. But like right now, this protein is the high priority, okay? So, and there's ways to figure it out. You can do support tools. You can figure out how many times, you can calculate how many grams of protein I should have a day based off my body weight, right? There's ways to do it. But again, make protein your priority, right? Whether you're a vegetarian or whether you're a meat eater or vegan, right? Protein has to be priority. Good, high quality protein. For vegetarians, vegans, the pea protein is a really good source. Research is showing that it's up there with whey protein as far as the bioavailability and all that type of stuff. Pea protein, whey protein, right? So whey, if you're whatever, don't care if you're not vegan, and pea protein. Now let's say this, because whey is coming from a cow's milk, you may have to think about that if you're lactose intolerant. So you may also need to go to a pea protein to get your protein, but you want to look at protein, Okay, protein wants to be number one, and that's just a realistic way it goes. Again, it helps support muscles, hormones, energy, recovery. If you're having a hard time recovering after your workouts, increasing your protein will help with that. It will help with your metabolism, right? So if you're having a problem and you can't stop or gaining weight, or you're trying to really control that, switch that, make protein a priority. Excuse me. That's going to help you feel full and satiated, like I mentioned before, right? So I mentioned to you about the calculator, right? There's numbers that you can do. So, and I'll put this on the screen right here so you can see it. But simple protein calculator is if you take 0.6 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of goal body weight, that'll give you the number of grams you should be taking in, right? So, for example, if your goal body weight is 150 pounds, it's suggesting that you'll probably be eating 90 to 120 grams per day. Now, that's an average based off of your needs. I would probably increase that a little bit more, right? I wouldn't go under 100. That's just my personal opinion. But that's a great start. And then if your goal is to get to 180 pounds because you're trying to put on some muscle, then you're looking at about 108 to 144 grams of protein per day. Now, that's a little bit on the low end. You can adjust the calculations by going like 1.0 to or 1.02 times your body weight per pound, right? Whatever your goal weight is, and it might give you a little bit more. I would say lean toward the higher numbers. But again, this is based off of what your goal weight is to be, right? There's other ways you can do it. Some people say go higher than that. It just depends because it is a lot of food. I would work my way up to it, but eventually, if your goal is to put on a lot of muscle, you want to increase the amount of protein you're taking. If your goal is to lose a little weight but keep the muscle you have, right, it doesn't matter. Protein is the key, 100%. If that's all you can get out of this, the one thing I would definitely say is that you have to get and prioritize your protein. And then with that being said, caveat, let me move into this a little bit. If you're vegan, you don't have to worry about this so much, right? If you're vegetarian, you don't have to worry about this so much. But for my brothers and sisters out here that is only eating meat, you want to increase your fiber a little bit as well, right? So they have great fiber products out there. The sponsor of our show, Balanced Life Supplements, they have fiber on the deck that we use here in the house. That is like you take one scoop. It's the sun fiber is what it's called. Anyway, you take that and put it in a scoop with your whatever you're drinking, and it dissolves right in. You get your extra bit of protein, fiber for the day, especially if you're taking protein sources. If you're eating if you're eating meat mainly, you do want to increase your fiber intake. Okay, so everything is what I want to make sure we understand is that you don't need to hit this perfectly every day, right? We're just thinking about being getting that right direction, right? If you're putting your mindset on the amount of protein you're taking in on a daily basis, we're going into the right direction, right? We may not get perfection right away. And some days we may fall at it. Some days you may not succeed, right? That's why there's apps. You can see, you start tracking what's going on. I guarantee wherever you're trying to be at, whatever your goal is, athletically, weight loss, health-wise, all that, it'll make it. So the one thing we have to understand, right, is how much protein your body actually needs. After you understand that, the next question is how do you realistically hit that without overthinking it, right? How do you realistically hit that without overthinking it? So once you get that number, whatever it is, if it's 150 grams, if it's 144 grams, whatever, once you get that number, how do you realistically hit it without overthinking it? And we're going to talk about that when we come back from our break.
Sponsored by Balanced Life Supplements and their salted caramel whey protein. It's a smooth, rich protein shake with sweet caramel flavor. Tastes amazing whether you mix it with water, milk, or in a smoothie. Perfect for recovery. Busy days. Anyone who wants a great tasting source of protein. Holistic doctor approved. Third party tested.
Check it out at balancelifesubs.com. That's right. BalanceLifeSubs.com. Your protein source, day and night.
Woo, man! I'm telling you, I thought that was a real song. I'm about to have to download that or something if I can find that. But daggone it. So anyway, that was Balanced Life Supplements. So look, we happen to have a bottle right here. This is their salted caramel. I have to say, this is one of my favorites of their whole protein line. It's actually one of the first ones they came out with. They've been out for a little while now, but the smell is like delicious, divine. I don't know if you can see that. But that's right near the that's right near the edge, beginning of the bottle, right? So did we just open this? You don't always get that with supplements, right? Protein to be way down here in the middle of the bottle. It's right up at the top. Smells good. It's great. It's great, delicious. It's got 24 grams of protein for serving, so very, very good, and as well as no added sugars. So you guys that are concerned about having a lot of sugar or carbs in your protein, Balanced Life Supplements has zero carbs and other sugar in their protein. And the only sugars that's getting is coming from the milk. Milk is a sugar source, if you didn't know that. So it's 2 grams. So great product. We highly love it. We love it over here. And I highly recommend it. So that's what I got to say, man. Protein should not be feeling confusing. Welcome back. We talk about protein. Protein should not be confusing at all. Protein should be one of those things that it should be easy. You should be able, everybody should understand it. But for some reason, it's a lot of confusion in protein. Actually, the whole nutrition as well, right? If you go back and do some research with the food pyramid, a lot of things got pushed heavily in that thing. My plate is the next one, but we won't talk about that again. We're only focusing on protein and how we can go ahead and get back on track, right? Or get on track to begin with, all right? So what I do, let me just tell you what I do. So I try to, again, focus on a lot of protein throughout the day, a lot of protein, right? I'm trying to do protein with every meal, right? I've even started stacking or thinking about vegetables. Like I know that 5 cups of spinach is raw like that is 5 cups of protein. So you can always do things like that. We can always add, like it doesn't have to just be meat. You can do meat and vegetables, carbohydrates again. Some vegetables have protein in them, right? You grab the beans, you get the lentils and legumes, those type of things. It just adds it, right? So whatever source you eat, if you eat chicken, you eat beef, understand the sizes of the protein is really important. So you can always think about your palm of your hand, right? So if you cut that, it's usually about 6 to 8 ounces, if I'm not mistaken. And so then you can figure out how many, I think a chicken breast is about 46 grams of protein, boom, right there. And you're stacking it so you can really get a lot of protein. A lot of people, there's recipes that you can watch online. There's some great people that I can, I'll start showing you and start telling ones that I actually pay attention to. But anyway, you can go do this. You can go find a protein dish, and they got stuff out there that tastes extremely good. You can make pizza with chicken to give you more higher protein there. If you like Greek yogurt, there's so many different ways to increase your protein without even buying supplements. But ideally, again, guys, you want to get it directly from food. And let me preface this by saying about supplements, is that supplements, you see Balanced Life Supplements is our sponsor. And I have to say this, just supplements are just that, supplements. Now, ideally, we want to get everything from food, right? Ideally, we want to do that. We want to eat all of our food, get all of our protein, carbs, fats, all that stuff, all through our food. But unfortunately, the way things are right now with the overprocessing of our food, we're not really sure the source of a lot of our foods. It's harder nowadays to get the proper nutrients and stuff we need, and doing it without a way of over consuming. So supplements, especially if you can find ones that are third party tested, that's one thing I like about Balanced Life Supplements. They're third party tested. So if you can find a company that's third party tested. Now, if you don't know what third party test is, let me explain real quick. Some companies do their own testing on their products. Other companies that's third party tested, it'll say it on their websites, but they actually send their products out to other companies, other people to research and test their products out to make sure that everything that's listed on the label is in there, right? And some companies, because they failed to do that correctly, they've ended up in class action lawsuits. A lot of companies are doing that or have gotten that, right? So when you're looking at supplements, I already know that the industry is hard to navigate correctly what the right supplement is to get and what company to use because ideally I understand that you want it. So some people, it's the price can make a difference, right? I'll say this. If you want good quality products, you're going to have to pay a little bit more money, unfortunately. Just the way it is. Companies that are selling their product at a lower price point, most likely might not have anything at all of what they say is in the product. So paying a little more money is definitely, I get it. Trust me, I get it. It does a little bit more. It can be a little rough on the pockets, but if you're able to, it doesn't matter where you get them from. Just I would say, with all respect for my audience, respect for anybody that I talk to, make sure it's third party tested. That's all I can really say. Okay, but anyway, other than that. You got the taste you got to think about, but there's ways that you can get around not having stuff taste nasty. Some proteins are really good tasting. There's plenty of ways to do that. But again, when you're looking at the ingredients, make sure that you're getting higher quality or higher protein than you're getting carbs with that, whatever you're taking in, because that'll ensure that your carbs are always lower than your fats. That's the one thing about fuel, which is carbs, is that the more you consume and the less you burn off, the more it turns into fat, right? So there's a storage of fuel, which you don't want that. Okay, so I would say really look into studying or paying attention to your protein intake. Again, if you're shooting for a certain weight, like 150 pounds, you want to have that much of protein, like I would say 120 grams of protein. If you're, but maybe even a little higher, okay? And if you're trying to go heavier, of course your protein is going to increase, okay? Once you start calculating, figuring that out, and again, you're only focusing on protein. So if you can consistently hit your numbers of protein, then you should be fine the other macronutrients, right? But what I would say, right, and I've told many clients to do this and it helped them out really well. Keep protein as a priority, right? Not the only food source. You should have other things. You want to be well balanced as much as possible. But you hit that on a regular basis, you'll see what I'm talking about. Body fat will drop, muscle increase, especially if you're lifting as you put the work in. Even if you're not putting the work in, it's going to help you not eat as much, right? The protein is going to help satiate you, so you don't have to buy things that's going to like mess with your diet, your eating, your desire to eat, right? Just switch what you're eating, and it should help out. But that's what we want to do, okay? So this is what you need to think about. We all need to think about this as having balance. And this show is all about balance, right? This is a Balanced Life podcast, and I'll try to bring this home, how important balance really is in one's life, right? And especially nutrition has to be the forefront and center of that, okay? But we want balance over perfection. So I want you to all take this little permission slip that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a permission slip right now, all right? You have permission to be healthy and still enjoy food, okay? You can miss workouts and still make progress. Now, with that being said, you don't want to miss a whole lot of workouts, right? But you can miss from time to time and still get your results, right? You can also support your body without stressing yourself out. That's one I want you to remember. Support your body without stressing yourself out. And the last thing that you want to remember when you're doing this, health works best when it feels sustainable. If you can sustain this thing, then it's the best. That's the best, right? If you ever got a chance to see the Biggest Loser documentary, many people, because of the way they were done, that's why fitness sometimes bothers me, but the way they were done in that pursuit of getting healthy, it's a lot of them gained all that weight back, right? Because what was going to happen, what was happening on the show, is something that was unsustainable, right? No one needs to be working out like that, and I wish that hadn't been the case, and it wasn't a situation just to get viewings and ratings. But The Biggest Loser can teach us something, that more isn't always the best option, right? Sometimes you got to take a step back. Sometimes you got to recover. Sometimes you got to just go with the flow and let your body just wind down and recover. The greatest bodybuilders in the world, they talked about how they prioritize sleep. So if getting rest is not a priority, nutrition also is going to be one of those things. Again, what I'm telling you also is barring any hormonal issues. But we want to make sure that we're doing our best, right? Even if you have hormonal issues, there's still things that you can do. Women with PCOS, thyroid issues, what I'm telling about with the way to eat, that's a great way that they like. That's what doctors like for those patients to eat when it comes to trying to lose weight with those symptoms, with those hormonal issues. Certain supplements that's out there can help as well, but you want to stay as consistent as possible on your regimen. And again, protein is going to be the one thing. So just you want to make sure that whatever you do, even if you have the Mediterranean diet, whether you have this, that, and the third, if you're seeing success in it, you got to make sure there's something that's going to be sustainable, right? Is this going to be something that's going to only last until you stop doing it, right? I have to go this hard. I have to eat like 2 pieces of dirt and some pebbles and on my tongue, and I'm good. No, right? You got to be. You don't want to have that relationship with food, right? But there still has to be a calorie restriction or calorie reduction. But protein is by far the best thing that you want to do to help you along your journey. Okay. All right. Now, if you could take anything else from today, if you can like take whatever from today and take it and apply it to your life, right? One thing I want you to focus on, anything that you do, or whether it's food or whatever, you want to do it with intention, not pressure. It's intention, not pressure. You're intentionally eating, right? And the relationship we have with food should be different anyway, right? You think about it, food, like I just told you with carbs, food is for fuel. So food is only really for survival. And so sometimes what I've seen is what we've done is a lot over the years, we've done a lot of mukbangings. We've gained weight as a society when I was younger. So I'm a product of the 70s. I was born in 76. So I remember growing up in the 80s and there not being a whole lot of people that are overweight or obese. Definitely not these many categories that we've added on over the years, such as morbidly obese and those type of things, right? Heart disease being the number 1 killer in the world. That's all food is really for, is fuel. Like it's for it, like survival, right? That's it. And so breaking down what you're eating within those means is the only thing that's to be the only purpose and the driver of this, right? And you can still make it fun. Don't get me wrong, you can make it fun. But again, we want to eat with intention, not pressure. Now, I'm not trying to lose weight. It's not a pressure to lose weight. You're just eating with intention, okay? You want to support those gaps in your diet, your nutrition. Right? I'm giving you one thing. I talked about protein for today. You should only, if you're not getting your nutrition from food, that's the purpose of supplements, to supplement what you're lacking, not to be your only source, right? So grabbing some supplements and even protein like the one we sell in here, we have right here, it comes from cows, so it's still food, right? It's not made from a genetic thing. Even if it's from pea protein, it's still food because it comes from the pea. It's just processed to a form where you can get to the protein and stuff faster, right? So don't forget about supporting those gaps without guilt, right? Something as simple as upping your vitamin intake will make a huge difference in your life. I know of a guy who was having issues healing, Like his heels would take long to hit, long to recover. And I explained to him, I asked him, I said, well, after doing a little bit of research, are you taking any vitamins? No. A lot of times, vitamin deficiency is the cause of why you're not able for your wounds to heal fast enough, right? So increasing and he did that. He increased his protein, his vitamin intake, and he started noticing everything started healing on him. So that's a great win, right? So, but to understand that supplements, vitamins, minerals, those type of things are only to support you, not to carry you, not to be your crutch. You still have to get your stuff from real food, real nutrition, but it'll help you along the way. Supplements would be something I would definitely go to. Okay, so protein does matter, right? You don't have to worry about perfection. We're not trying to be perfect here. Quit looking at what you see that you think is an ideal, perfect body, and just start getting healthy. That's it. I think as a race that we actually ruin the journey of exercise by focusing on the vanity of the thing. Now, I'm not trying to cause anybody to get mad. I'm just being realistic for what I see. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this over 20 years. And being in the fitness industry, I see things. And so where we mess up, because health is great, right? Being healthy, eating properly, those type of things is all great. And it's for a purpose of being healthy, to help you be able to move around more, be more functional, be able to not be confined to a chair throughout your later years because you're not able to move around, right? All of it. Health is encompassing. I'm talking to you about today about protein, but health is overall encompassing, right? Every single thing goes for it. Your heart, your lungs, your food intake, your grip strength, being able to lift heavy weights, all of that is all encompassing of your overall health. Don't let nobody tell you any different. Every single thing, everything for what you take into your mouth, what you produce with your physical body, all that is all encompassing of your everyday health, of your overall health, right? So consistency wins every time. So if you're consistent, if we can get to a stage of being very consistent, right? One of the things, and we'll talk about this in another podcast, but a lot of people, what I see is they really focus on motivation. I'm not motivated to work out. I'm not motivated to eat right. I'm not motivated. I don't have enough time. There's always something to try to help you that they need to motivate them. And what I want us to be able to get to a point of is being disciplined and not motivated. Motivating is great, but sometimes it wears off. Motivating is also flaky. One moment it could be here, one moment it could not be here, right? You can't rely on motivation. But discipline is going to get you there to do what you need to do for yourself, even when you're tired, even when you're on vacation. Your discipline is going to keep you there. And if you could keep that discipline going as long as you possibly can, right? But if you keep that and don't lose it, you're going to be better off than just relying on motivation. Okay? So you want to be consistent, right? All the time. And I know maybe I'm saying this, maybe like sometimes things are said and you don't want to hear it, right? We all go through that. I go through that too. Sometimes I just don't want to hear what people have to say. But when you're looking at health, right? Your body is you want health, you want wellness. That's the biggest talk, right? Even some companies, right, such as corporations, they hire people to come in and work their fitness facility to bring health and wellness to their community, so it helps lower down doctor's costs and all that type of stuff when you can get the heart rate down and blood pressure down, those type of things, right? So they hire this, they have this there for you, right? And although that sometimes stuff, it feels heavy, right? Sometimes wellness and health, fitness feels heavy. Sometimes you don't want to do it. Sometimes you feel pressured to have to do it. But don't think about it like that. You have to rewire your thinking. You don't want to think about fitness and health as a burden, right? More so the burden would be like overall, like continuous doctor bills, right? Medications that are expensive. even if you do have a copay. But in the long run, health is cheaper. It saves you more money, right? So you may have went through a history or a patch of where your wellness has felt heavy. Just I don't want to do this. Maybe not seeing the results that you once saw, right? Everybody at some point in time goes through that. And what happens when that happens, what you need to do, right, is you need to reset. Reset everything. We talk about this in exercise. If you're doing something that's causing you to have more balance, right, and you're wobbly, sometimes you have to reset yourself so you can continue with the exercise. Reset and refine your center, your core, find your core. So this is the same thing. When our nutrition is failing, if we're doing what we're doing is wrong or not wrong, let me not say that. If what we're seeing that we're doing is stopped working, then it needs to be reset. So I want you to think about this as your reset. It's your reset, right? Take all that other stuff out. Focus on small things today. Go for those. And then I want you to celebrate every single win that you make. When you lose a pound, when you figured out how to eat, when you know how to measure your macros out, when you hit your macro number for the day, celebrate that stuff. Don't just, I did it. No, celebrate it. Because when you celebrate it, it makes you want more. You want to accomplish more, right? You want to accomplish more. That's what we want. You get a PR, if you ever lifted weights and you got a PR on the lift that you was like, man, I always want to get that. Now what? Got to do more. Unless you start and you want to focus on, but you still want to focus on something else. Okay, you went as heavy as you want to go, but now I want to lift. I did my deadlift. Now I want to build up my squats. I want to build up my bench press. I want to build up my push-ups. I want to build this up. So now you start focusing on working on that. Okay. So again, if wellness has ever felt heavy, hey, let this episode be your reset. Reset everything. Start over. Turn the switch. Just like you do a computer that starts and frees up. Do that computer switch. Right? So think about it like this. It's a relationship between you and your body. That's why I like talking about balance. It's a relationship with your mind and your body and even your soul. Right? So you have to get in harmony with the two. So your body is not really asking for punishment. It's asking for partnership. Your body's not asking for punishment, right? Even though we hear that sometimes we got to do this grueling workout to get where we need to get. Although the workouts, let me just pause you right there. Although the workouts need to be intense, you don't have to punish yourself, right? So your body's asking for partnership. Let's do this together to reach this common goal. So it has to be mind and body, right? So get your mind and body together, right? And focus on the small things that we talked about today. All right, guys, that's it for me. Thank you for listening to A Balanced Life. And we got to thank you to our sponsor for today, Balanced Life Supplements. Again, let me grab this for you. This is their salted caramel whey protein. This stuff is very delicious. I love this stuff. I love making it with my smoothies. I love having it with some milk. I do drink goat milk, guys. Don't look at me crazy. But I'll take some goat milk and mix this with that. It tastes great. Whoever likes to let me just preface this. Let me just tell you this. If you're one of those people that like to take water on your protein, I don't understand you. You're a special type of person, and I don't want you mad at me. But yeah, it's nasty. Anyway, if you can do that, more power to you. But me, I have to use milk, and any type of milk would be fine. Almond milk, goat milk, cow milk, what have you, right? But the flavor is great. I love it. We love it over here. And again, thank you to Balanced Life Supplements for being our sponsor. But that's it. That's all I got to say, guys. Until next time, come back. We're going to do this once a week on Fridays. Keep a lookout for the next show. Till next Friday, guys, take care, stay groovy, and be healthy. And this is A Balanced Life.